And I think that means we're a go. So I am assuming that we are recording. I'm going to be, I'm going to apologise this once, and then I might apologise again halfway through. But I'm coughing and I'm spluttering. Excuse me, not a lot I can do about it. It's worse when I talk, so maybe I shouldn't be doing this show at all today. I'm going to be leaving it up to all of you to be talking to me today. Anyway, here we are, and I don't know what the date is, but it's sometime in April. My daughter's birthday was last Sunday, so that was the 7th. I guess I could work it out, but I can't be bothered, to be perfectly honest with you. So anyway, here we are, and before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to Grey Eagle, who, as always, is standing to my right side. I'd like to say good morning to Chris. I'd like to say good morning to all of you out there who, some of you are not even here yet. I know some of you are clicking on even as we're speaking. Excuse me, but Chris, is there anybody there?
We do have a bunch of people, but they're still logging on. I see the numbers ticking up as we're talking.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is there anybody there who has a question or a comment or anything going on?
Right now, most everybody is saying their good mornings and hellos. Eric says happy birthday to Samantha.
Thank you.
Yeah, no questions yet.
Okay. I got a very nice birthday card from someone who thought it was my birthday. They obviously got my birthday mixed up with Samantha's birthday, which has happened before. But anyway, thank you for the thought, and I'll keep it until my birthday. When is my birthday, by the way? My birthday is a very special day. We always make it a special day. My birthday is the 19th of May. Write it down, everybody. The 19th of May, and I've no idea what day it is. It's probably a Sunday because weirdly, the day of my daughter's birthdays, weirdly it works out that if her birthday is on a Saturday, so is mine. If hers is on a Sunday, so is mine. I don't know how that works, but I can always tell you that my birthday is on a Sunday. Anyone liking to check quickly, see when the 19th of May is? Don't be surprised if it turns out that it's a Sunday. And so, all right. So, a couple of things. I'm very excited. I'm going to be doing a podcast. I think it's next week. If you want to know more about that, you can email us, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, the office, or whatever. You can check on the website. If we put it on the website, it should be there. So I'm excited about doing a podcast. And also, I'm very excited because I've been invited. Now, all of you out there who are Italians or live near Italy or are close to the Italian border or who are happy to just get on a plane and go to Italy, which really should because it's a great place, I've been invited to go to speak in Italy. And I haven't been to Italy to speak since before COVID. And I would love to see if that works out. So I'm excited about these things that are happening. And if I go to Italy, then of course I'm going to be going to England also because they're so close to each other. Why would I not go to England? So we've got plans. We've got plans for the future. And once I've finished sorting out the coughing stuff, I'll be fine. Although I am already fine, and I'll also, before we begin and giving everybody time to sort of lock onto the show, I would also like to say thank you to all of you who have sent me well wishings and sending me healing and all of that good stuff, and I really, really appreciate that. So, Chris, how are we doing?
Great, Rosemary. That was Judith's question. She asked, "How is your health?" And she's praying for you as always.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's good. I mean, I'm 105 years old. We can't expect, can we, that, I'm going to be as healthy as I was when I was 40 or 50. Doesn't time fly? How did that 105 years go by? I just don't know. Anyway, but thank you, all of you, for your well wishes, for your healing. And hopefully we'll be back on track fairly soon. So that's good. So, Chris.
All right. Eric wants to know, can the gift of being psychic be taken back if the person abuses it?
Gosh, Eric, you floored me. I thought there wasn't a question that hadn't been asked. I probably have been asked this, but it's been a while. Let's put it this way. There are different degrees of psychic. We know about the charlatans. We know about the people who pretend and they know that they're pretending. We also, if we're sensible, we know about the people who genuinely believe that they have a gift, but it's not necessarily, how can I put this? I don't want to demean anybody's gift. I don't want to demean anybody's ability to be able to sense or to feel. But some of us can sense things and we can feel things, and we have that small amount of psychic knowledge or psychic energy, but a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, as we know. So there are people who, because they have this little bit of sensitivity, we all have it, but there are those people who have that sensitivity, but they assume they know more or have more than they do. And those people are so well-meaning and so lovely and so caring, but also can be so dangerous in what they tell you and how they present themselves. Because if you can't hear clearly, if you can't see clearly, if you can't pay attention clearly to the gift, then you're going to miss things. You're going to misunderstand things. And it's very, very easy when we're talking to people in the spirit world, or when we're having these senses, it's very easy for us to sometimes misconstrue what is being told to us. It's happened to me. Somebody in the spirit world will say something to me, and because I've not quite heard it correctly, or I've not been paying attention correctly, I might misunderstand, because that happens, isn't it, with all of us? Sometimes we misunderstand what somebody's saying to us. Fortunately, I have Grey Eagle tapping me on the shoulder saying, no, you misunderstood. That's not what they said at all, or that's not what they meant at all. So, excuse me. So I'm sorry to keep doing this to you. It must be really irritating for everybody, but there's nothing I can do about it. And so it's very, very easy for us to misconstrue. And if we don't have someone like Grey Eagle, for instance, if we don't have real knowledge or a real understanding, then we're not going to question as much. And as I'm talking to people, and as I'm giving messages to people, as I'm giving consultations to people, all of that stuff, if you're not careful, it's very easy to misconstrue. And I'm always very careful and very aware that I need to pay absolutely 1000% attention to those in the spirit world who are wanting to communicate and trying to communicate. And it's not always an easy thing to do. And there are things that get in the way. For instance, if you're sick, if you've got a migraine, if whatever it is, I mean, that can affect what you're thinking, how you're dealing with stuff, and so on. And I do have to apologize to those people who I've had to cancel recently, because if I'm not 100%, I don't want to give you 90%. I don't even want to give you 95%. Wait a minute. I don't want to give you 99%. I want to give you 100%. And wanting to give you 100% means that I have to be 100%. I have to feel, connect, and be very, very aware of what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, what I'm seeing, and so on. And I rely heavily on Grey Eagle, who is able to steer and guide me in this way. Can the gift be taken away? Gosh, I hope not, for my sake. No, I think if it's taken away, it's because it wasn't really there in the first place, or it was only, you know, sort of, let's say, a small. It's very, again, I don't want to demean anyone when I'm saying this, but if you have a true gift, as I do, and if you can see and hear and connect with people, and you know what they're saying to you, and you have Grey Eagle here who's saying, no, that's not what they said, or no, or he'll expand on what they mean. Because sometimes when we're talking to people in the spirit world, sometimes they're emotional, sometimes they're upset, sometimes they're so excited and overwhelmed. I mean, people are people. So just because they're in the spirit world doesn't necessarily mean that they've suddenly become great communicators. So it's my job to help them to draw them out and to tell me what it is that they would like to say. So it's complicated, but I would say I don't think that I can only speak to me now. I don't think that I would, gosh, ever have this gift taken away, because I value it, I honor it, I respect it, and I take it very, very seriously. And here is I think perhaps the difference, Eric, in what you're asking. If someone has a psychic ability, that means they have an ability, however strong, excuse me, or not it might be. But for me, it's not what I do, it's who I am. And that's the difference. I am a spiritual medium and healer. I am the gift that I portray. I'm not me without it. I wouldn't be me without it. So I think there's a big difference. And you know, this is why I caution people when you go to see someone like me or who purports to be like me. Just because you say that you can do it doesn't mean that you have to believe that somebody, because, oh, I'm psychic and I can see and all that, doesn't mean necessarily, doesn't mean they're lying, but it doesn't really mean that what they're saying is real either. So you have to be very cautious when you're coming to see someone like me, very cautious, very careful, and so on. I'd like to sort of talk about this a little bit more, a little bit later on, if I can manage to talk without coughing and spluttering and so on. So, Chris, what else?
All right. The next question's from Gary. Gary's wondering, did you feel any shift in energy during the eclipse?
No. That's a simple question. No. To be honest with you, excuse me, I've got to keep drinking. Right, to be honest with you, Gary, and all of you out there, and I'm sure some of you perhaps were more aware, or perhaps paying more attention or something. So maybe you did feel something. I'm going to get the question right back at you. Did you feel anything? But I didn't, to be honest, I didn't actually know it was happening until my daughter said to me, what are you going to do about the eclipse? And I said, what do you mean, what am I going to do? And And she said, well, it's the eclipse and it's at whatever time it is and so on and so forth. I said, oh, okay. She said, are you going to go out and watch it? I said, why would I do that? It's nature, it's the world, it is a part of us. We are a part of it. There are people who make a huge deal out of it, and I can understand that because I guess it is a huge deal. And they say you'll only see this once in a lifetime. Well, actually, maybe I'm so old. I did tell you I was 105. So maybe I'm so old. I have experienced an eclipse before. It's not the first one. Excuse me. It's not even the second one. But generally speaking, and here in Florida on that particular day, it was very cloudy anyway. I don't know if anybody saw anything at all, but I certainly didn't see anything. And I was aware of the time that it was happening. I didn't go outside to check, but I was aware and keeping sort of one eye on the time and thinking, okay, this is when it's supposed to be happening and so on. But it made absolutely no difference to me because, and I didn't feel any shift, I didn't feel any change of energy, I didn't feel lighter, better, worse, I didn't feel anything at all, except it's part of us. We're part of it. We're part of this universe of ours. The energy that's out there, the energy that goes around every single day. Yes, all right. The other day was the eclipse, but then there's other things are happening. We get shooting stars and we get all sorts of things happening in the universe that we're not even aware of, but they are a part of us and we are a part of them. And I think that, so the answer is no, I didn't feel a thing. Did you? Did anybody out there? Did you have a revelation? Did you feel the earth shift? Geez, I'd like to feel that. I would like to feel that. I think that would be a great experience. But no, for me, no. For me, it was just another day and another event and another thing in the universe that was happening. The thing is that, we know about these things because science tells us, and we've got these massive telescopes that tell us all sorts of things. But there are so many other things that are happening in the universe that we're not even aware of. So energy is shifting and changing all the time, and I think we shift and change with it. Okay, Chris.
Mark wants to know, do our loved ones sleep?
That's a great question. I like that question. Do they sleep? I would say that they rest. Excuse me. Do they climb into bed and make sure they've got a nice soft pillow? I was looking at my pillows the other day. I've got great pillows. I have goose and duck down feather pillows, and I just love them. I know I'm spoiled. I'm a princess. What can I tell you? Having said that, I've had them for years, these pillows, and I make sure, they're cleaned every now and again. But I love them and they're soft and they're like a pillow. Do people in the spirit world have feather pillows to sleep on? It when they come and snuggle up with us, I'm sure, they like the feel of all of that. But I've never heard anyone, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I've never heard anyone say, okay, good night, I'm going to bed now. I've never heard anyone in the spirit world say, okay, I'm off to bed now. So I do think people rest and they explore, but I think there are lots of ways that we can rest. Even here on this earth, there are lots of ways that we can rest. A lot of people don't even go to bed at night. They have other ways of resting. Excuse me. So I'm going to say no, Mark. In my experience.
The next question is from Christian.
Hi,
Hi,
Christian.
Rosemary. I remember you said that you see a light on the womb of a woman when pregnancy begins.
Oh,
Is there the same light even when the soul that is in the womb is a dark soul? Thank you so much.
that's very interesting. Yes, that's a great question. it's not so much a light. It's almost like, I think I've described this before. When I see a woman, when I see a baby about to enter or who has already entered the womb, it's like stardust. More than it's a light, it's like stardust. It's the only thing. If you think of Disney and you think of the Good Fairy, and she ding waves the magic wand, and there's all this sort of beautiful sparkly light. And when I look at a woman who has a baby in the womb, no matter how, even if it's just about happening, it's an amazing thing, and that's what I see. Um, do I see that with Dark Souls? I don't know, because I've never been aware of, when I'm looking, I've never been aware of whether it's a dark soul or not. So I would say probably not, only because this I'm sort of talking to Greg as I'm talking to you now to try and answer your question clearly. Only because I think this sparkly stuff that I see is so bright and light and beautiful, and I can't imagine that it would belong to a dark soul, because dark souls are exactly what they are. There's no light within them. So I would imagine that I wouldn't see that. However, taking it a step further, I have, on a couple of occasions, not many, but I have on a couple of occasions looked at a child, even a small child, and known that there was something dark about that child, a dark soul or what have you. And on one particular occasion, without going into any detail whatsoever, I remember warning a mother who was very friendly with the other mother who had this child. And I was there when they all the mothers were getting together with their kids and so on. And I can remember saying to the one mother, please watch your child. Please pay attention to your child around this other child, because I knew that this other child was dark in some way. So I have seen that, and you would think in children you wouldn't see that. And as it has turned out, all these many years later, I was correct in what I told to this parent. That's all I'm saying about that. We could go into it in so much depth, couldn't we? I bet you're all dying to want to know more about that. But anyway, let's move on, Chris.
Sure. The next question is from Barb, and she wants to talk to Gray Eagle.
Hi, Bob.
I have a question for Gray Eagle. I often speak to you and tell you I would like to sit by your fire with you someday. Have you heard me?
Well, the answer is an absolute yes. And you do sit by the fire. It's not a question of I'd like to sit by your fire someday. When you're thinking that way, you are behaving that way, you are, let's say, adding fuel to the fire when you are giving, and you are giving to other people, and you are giving out, and especially, and when you're giving to yourself also. So that is one way of being able to sit by Grey Eagle's fire, and he's smiling at me and sort of giving you a thumbs up. So obviously you're doing okay. So rather than wishing, I wish one day I could sit by Grey Eagle's fire. I think you're already by his fire. I think he's already aware of you and acknowledging you. How nice is that? Ooh. Chris.
The next one's from Rhonda. Rosemary, if you're up to it, can I get just a tiny word from my dad? I just miss him so much.
If I'm up to it.
If you're up to it.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to be up to it. I'm going to ask Grey Eagle because, and I'm just going to sit and listen, whatever he has. Oh, right. That's a surprise. I can see this lovely man. This may not be your dad, but I think it is. Little bit thinning on the. He's winking at me. He's giving me a thumbs up, and he tells me to tell you he is always. Let me get this right. He's always with you, with you, and he is always by your side. Never doubt it. So here I thought Craig was going to give you a message from your dad, but actually, here is your dad right here, and he must have been ready. He must have known you were going to ask that question. Okay, Chris.
All right. The next one is from Ornella.
Hi, Ornella.
Hi, Rosemary. Could Gray Eagle answer my question? I'm worried about one thing. I'm going to transfer money from one place to another. Will it be really useful for my family? Thank you so much.
Oh, this is a bit of a complicated question, Ornella. Um, if you're doing this for you, sorry, it's not an easy question. If you're doing this for you, and it's going to benefit you, I think it's a really good thing. But I suspect that you are trying to help others, and I think you could do it in a different way. You know, people sometimes, without meaning to, take advantage of other people. So I want you to be very cautious when you do this, when you're thinking about it. And I would maybe consider maybe transferring less or doing it differently, or making sure that if you want to do this, that the money is going exactly where you want it to go, where you think it's going to do the most good, because people do take advantage. So I think you're being cautioned. So I'm afraid you have to do with that what you will. But if I were you, I'd listen. If Grey Eagle says be cautious here, you need to be cautious. Chris.
This is from Barbara. Hello, Rosemary. How do we know when a sign is really a sign? On March 20th, my husband's birthday, I asked for a sign that he still loves me. Then on Easter, I found a ring from him that I had not seen in many years. It has a pink heart-shaped gemstone. Was this a sign or just a coincidence and wishful thinking? Thank you for your help.
Let me think here, Barbara. We gotta just really think hard about this. Okay. I don't believe in coincidences, young lady. Of course it's from your husband. Of course it's a sign, and of course it's a sign of how much he loves you. Could you imagine that you just, there it is? Oh, how wonderful. How really wonderful. You need to stop doubting yourself and accept the fact that your husband is going to show you in whatever way he can. You're obviously a questioning person, which is a good thing. You're obviously afraid that you don't want to be duped. You don't want to be, is this wishful thinking? Is it just me? But this is something really special and really unique and not you at all. It has everything to do with the love that you share with your husband, and you ask for a sign, and I mean, get a grip, girl. You've got this best sign that you could possibly imagine having, and geez, it's making me have chills. I'd like you to send me a picture of that ring. I want to see it. Chris.
Two comments from two ladies, Lorraine and Judith, both commenting on your splint. So Lorraine says, I noticed you are not wearing the brace. Is it better, or are you waiting for the procedure to correct your thumb? And
No,
Judith, you aren't wearing your thumb splint anymore? Wonderful. I wore one for a long time and was so thankful when I could finally take it off.
Well, mine goes on and off. If I'm sitting here and doing nothing, it stays off. If I go out and I'm going to be doing things I think might hurt it or damage it, I'll wear it. But it's really hot and it gets hot and ditchy, so I try not to wear it unless I really have to. But my hand is excruciatingly painful. I said this to somebody just the other day. I cannot believe I still, when I do this with my fist, all the tops of my knuckles are so painful and so sore. My thumb, we're not even going to mention my thumb, and my wrist. Look at this. Can't bend it properly. See that? The difference? That's that, and this is this. And when I was in New York, I was sitting on the sofa with Reese and Samantha, and the puppy happened to jump up and jump onto me, and just happened to jump on my wrist. I screamed so loud, I could not believe how painful it was, and my poor grandson was absolutely terrified. We got over it. It's fine, but it's, what can I tell you? It's going to take a while. Okay, but thank you very much for asking. I appreciate it. Thank you. So next question.
Renata has a comment. Hello, Rosemary. I loved your book.
Which one? There are a few of them, Do you think she might mean The Eagle and the Rose? I don't know. Renata, which book are you talking about, darling? And if you've only read the one, there are several others that you can go and read. But thank you very much for saying that. I really appreciate it.
The next is from Deborah. My mom's name is Rosemary. Then a friend tells me about you. I look you up and I am amazed. My mom has been gone for several years. I wonder about her. I have many questions.
I wonder how you found me. Were you looking for other Rosemarys? I don't know. The best thing I can tell you to do is to book a consultation, or if you want to talk to someone in the spirit world, then you have to give them a chance. And I am going to talk about this now, this very briefly, and I would like people's opinions on this because because I think it's interesting. So when I give someone a consultation, the very first thing I say is to everybody, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that I'm going to be able to do it. There are no guarantees that your loved ones in the spirit world are going to come talk to me. There are no guarantees that it's going to work. The only guarantee that I can make you is I will do my very best. I will try my very best. So that's the first thing. So the second thing is before you book a consultation, you have to go through the office, and the office sends out a notification. This is what you do. This is your date and time and so on. And please have your questions ready for Rosemary, 8 to 10 questions. So if you have issues, if you have concerns, whatever's going on in your life, it can be that you might have concerns about your kids, or it might be that you have concerns about work or health or or whatever. We all have concerns of some kind or another. Or it could be that you're concerned about whoever it is that you're wanting to connect with in the spirit world. So get those questions down. Are they okay? How did they make it? So on and on and so on. So I like to have people have 8 to 10 questions, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And I also because I always say to people, if this does not work to my satisfaction, and I say to my satisfaction, knowing that my expectations are far higher than anything anybody else could have. So my standards are very high. So if it does not work to my standards, and I say this to everyone also, I'm going to give you two choices. The first choice is that we will immediately refund your money, immediately, no questions asked. The second option is that you can rebook and we can try again at no extra charge. Because I'm not charging you for the time it takes. I'm charging you for whatever it is that we can give to you. I'm charging you for the product, let's say. All right. It's a bit like, you know, you can walk around a supermarket all day long and buy nothing, and nobody's going to say what you're doing, or you shouldn't be here, or I'm going to charge you for the time. Nobody's going to say that. If you buy something, if you get something and you take it out of the store, then you pay for it. And this is how I feel with the gift that I have, and we've talked about this gift before many times. It is very special and it is very rare. And there are rare occasions when for whatever reason it just doesn't work, or it doesn't work for my satisfaction. And I'll say, I'm sorry, we're not going to do this. And I might have spent an hour with someone or even an hour and a half with someone, but I'm not going to charge them, because if it's not working, it's not working. So then I'll give them the option. We refund the money straight away, or we can rebook this at no extra charge. We'll try again, because I think it's, you know, sometimes we have to, very rarely, but sometimes we have to try a second time, and usually it works. There has been, I can think of a couple of times when we've tried 3 times, because people don't want to give up, and if they don't give up, it usually pays off, and we finally manage to connect. Why is it then that sometimes we connect and sometimes we don't? 95% of the time, I would say I connect, and I'm able to do this and to do it really well. So what about that 5%? What's going on in that 5% there? It could be that those in the spirit world just don't want to do it. They don't want to talk to you. They're not interested. That's rare. So rare. It could be for some reason that there's a block. And it could be, for instance, if I'm sick, or if I'm coughing and spluttering and I'm not listening, or I can't hear properly, or whatever. It could be that. There are a variety of reasons why things don't work out. But luckily for me, as I've said, at least 95%, 97% of the time, you know, they do. And it's very rare I have to say to somebody, this isn't working. So I say to people, please come with your 8 to 10 questions. You can have more questions, and during the course of the consultation, if it's working, I always say to people, is there anything else you want to ask me? And they always say yes. So on and on we go. Okay, why do I ask people about their questions, and why do I say to them, which I always do at the beginning of the consultation, who is it that you would like to connect with? The reason I ask people who is it that you'd like to connect with is that we have an hour. I've actually never done an hour's consultation in my life, but we have an hour basically, an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes, sometimes longer. But I only have that short space of time. So the reason I want to know who specifically would you like to talk to is that I can look for those people, because for most of us, we've got family and friends, lots of them, and given the chance, they're all going to want to talk. They're all going to want to say something. So I try to narrow it down. So for instance, if you say I want to talk to my mum or my dad, that's who I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to see if I can look for them, and look for them clearly and precisely. And I don't always get them out. Sometimes somebody else comes rushing through and says, look, it's my turn first, because once they get going, I'm not going to be able to get a word in. So it doesn't always work entirely as you think it's going to. but it's a lot of fun. But I try when I say to people, and I don't want people to say, yeah, I want to talk to my sister, she died of cancer. That's not what I want. My sister, my mother, my brother, my aunt, my friend, my uncle, whoever it is, just give me an indication of who it is that you primarily would like to talk with, so my focus can be right there. Okay. The second thing, the reason I ask what questions do you have is because again, we have a limited time. And because we have a limited time, I want to give you what you want. I want to be able to, if you're worried about work, let's talk about work. If you're worried about your child, let's talk about that child. I can focus on what it is that you want. So I'm trying to give you what it is that you want. Now, sometimes people in the spirit world will ignore all of your questions. They won't care. No, this is what we want to talk about. And it usually turns out that what they want to talk about is far more important and far more enlightening than the idea that we have. But still, it is really good for me because I only have a certain amount of time to give you this. I know where to focus, so I can, and as I say, sometimes your questions I will answer everyone, and sometimes somebody in the spirit world say, no, that's not what she really wants to know. What she really wants to know is this, this, and this, because they know us better. So we have this process which we put in place in order to help me to focus so that you guys can get as much out of this as you possibly can. And when I say, what questions do you have? I'm not looking for detail. I'm just work, health, children, pets, whatever, I don't know, whatever your issue is, moving, etc. I'm not looking for you to give me all the detail of the question, just work. And then so there's an issue with work. So that's when I talk to those in the spirit world who will tell me what the issue is. They'll describe what's going on. I'll have Grey Eagle to help me, and we can get it done, get it sorted, and that's fine. And when we do this and when we cover this, you've always got time to come back and say, well, can I just ask you one more question? Well, can I just ask you another question and another question, so on. But occasionally, and this happened recently, occasionally we get someone who they really want to do it, I think, because why else would they even book? But you say to them, okay, who specifically would you like to talk to? Whoever's there. Okay, this is their answer, whoever's there. I say, okay, but is there anyone particular? And as I'm talking to this person, I can see a lady clearly right in front of me. I know that she's the mum, but I'm saying who's specific. Well, there's nobody specific, whoever comes. Okay, all right, so fine. So we let that go. Then I say, so would you like to give me questions? I don't have any. Okay, what are your issues? What would you like, if those in the spirit world come through to us today and talk to us, what would you like them to talk? Well, they'll know. And okay, so yes, maybe you're right, they will know, but we've only got an hour. We've already now wasted 15 minutes of it talking, and so what is my point? So the point in the end, I said to this lady, I'm going to give you these choices, which I'd already told her. I'm happy to refund your money, because at this point, and being sick and not necessarily having, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's patience, because I had plenty of patience, but I think it's very hard for people to understand. You got to give a little. I'm not asking you to tell me your life history, but you do have to be involved. You do have to want to do it to the point that you want to say, okay, what to talk. And eventually she did say, well, I want to talk to my mother. And I'm thinking, great. And because I knew I'd already got a mother there, and she gave me another couple of people. And then then when I said to her, well, what are your issues? What specifically would you like to talk about? They'll know. And I have to tell you that it's not easy to have patience, but I am a very patient person. I tried to explain to her, I just need to have some direct, well, they'll know and they'll tell me, and so on and so forth. And then I said, I think, this is not working, because by this time we've now spent 45 minutes with her telling me what she's not going to do, what she's not going to give me. And unfortunately, I feel very sad about it. Unfortunately, I had to disappoint her, because I said, call the office and they'll refund your money. Some people might think, how many people would spend 45 minutes with someone and then say, I'm refunding your money? Not many, I can tell you. But I felt very sad for her, because it was a blank. It was I'm testing you. She was testing. And that's a sad thing. You have to come to this open-minded. You've got to come to this with some hope. You've got to come to this open-minded and willing to listen. And you have to come to this willing at some point to participate a little bit. And if you're not willing to participate, then basically there's not a lot we can do. It's really tough, because I know that there'll be people listening who think, well, she's just making excuses. But I'm not really making excuses. I'm just aware that we have an hour to focus on me giving you as much from your loved ones in the spirit world as I possibly can. And we need to get as much information and as much out there. So I was thinking with this lady, okay, maybe it's me, I'm sick. Maybe, let's blame me. I'm sick. So now, a little bit later, I had another consultation. Now, of course, you can imagine, now I'm worrying. I'm thinking, oh, maybe we should cancel. Maybe I'm just not well enough to do this, or whatever. And so this lady comes and she's excited and so on and so forth. And I give her all the, if it doesn't work stuff and what have you. And then I say to her, who would you like to talk to? She said, I just want to talk to my brother. It's all about my brother. I don't want to talk to anybody else. It's all about my brother. Well, I'd already seen a brother standing there. So then I started to say to her, so, okay, give me your questions. So she says, the first question is, how is she? And her brother puts his hand up to me and he says, can I just talk? So weirdly, now I'm saying I don't need your questions, at least not right now, because can your brother just talk? So we didn't even get a chance to get our questions out, because he wanted to talk about how he passed, what happened. It was a very, very, very traumatic and unusual circumstance. And he didn't want her to have any doubts whatsoever. And the truth is, had we let her ask her questions, at some point down the list of questions, I may have had an indication that there was something unusual about this boy's passing, but he wasn't going to let me go there. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Here it is. This is what happened, which he did beautifully, fabulously. This poor girl is crying, but excited and thrilled and so on and so forth. And then eventually I said to this young man, are you done? And he nodded and he laughed at me. Great sense of humor this kid had. And then I said to her, okay, you can carry on with your questions now. And so we finally got the questions down, and some he answered and some he said, no, she already knows that, but what about this? But the difference was between the two connections between the two consultations was huge. It was an enormous difference because one was so skeptical and so closed off and so not willing, and the other was, without even saying anything, so open. So how, I don't know how to explain it to you, but I thought I'm going to explain this. I'm going to tell this story because I'm hoping that those of you who seek to connect with your loved ones in the spirit world, you don't tell everything. Nobody's asking you to say, oh yes, my mother died of cancer on the 23rd of whatever it was, and so on. So nobody's asking for that. Just, I'd like to connect with my mum and my dad. That's it. That's all you need to say. And be a little bit open and a little bit open to the whole process. And when you're open to that whole process, it makes such an enormous, enormous difference. Right, I'm done talking. Do we have any comments? Do we have any questions? Do we have anybody?
Oh my God, Rosemary, there's no way for you to get through the amount of questions we have.
Well, let's try. Let's go for it.
All right. So the next one is from Cheryl. How can we tell when something we hear in our minds is just our own thoughts or from somewhere, someone else?
You can tell because you know it. There's a sense of knowing, Cheryl. You can tell the difference. You know the difference. And you can tell yourself over and over again, oh, it's just my thoughts. But then you come back to know it was so real. Oh, wait a minute, no, but it was so real. You'll know. You just will know. Chris, keep going with these questions. Get as many answers as we can.
Vicky says, if you believe in a higher self and we are leading multiple lives at once, is it possible for me to run into my child who has passed in their alternate life, and will I recognize them?
Well, I don't believe that we're leading multiple lives all at once. So I do think it's possible to connect with your child, maybe in your dreams, maybe in your sleep state or whatever. I do believe that, but I don't believe in the fact that we're all living multiple lives. So I'm a bit lost with the question. Next.
Lori asks, do you have any words of wisdom for me? I'm so glad to catch you live for a change.
Laurie, here is what you need to do and what you are apparently, Gregor tells me, you are so afraid to do. You have to be yourself. Stop being who other people want you to be. Stop being what other people expect you to be. Be who you want to be. Dare to be you. And everything else will fall into place. I think you'll shock a few people, but that's okay. Chris.
Denise asks, can you tell me okay, so she's from Holland. The English is just a little bit off. Can you tell me where the heart stands? My heart function is very low. I went to the doctors, but spiritually, where does it stand for?
Okay. Well, the heart is a physical organ. I think we're talking about the soul more than we're talking about the heart. And I think your soul is functioning beautifully. Chris.
Annika wants to know, can we extend the physical life of a person with our prayers, even when the cosmic plan might be a different one? For example, can all of us who send prayers for Princess Catherine help her heal, even if that's not really in the cards for her?
Okay. I think there's a time to be born, and I do believe there's time to die. So whatever her time is, we cannot change that. But what our prayers can do and do is we can ease suffering. We can give a sense of peace and calm. We can ask for angels to surround our loved ones as they're passing. We cannot change what is ordained, but we can make a difference by giving peace and harmony and bringing love into that person's life. Chris.
Kathy wants to know two things. Do you also see pets or any animals that have passed? And let's see, do you have any messages from my mom or dad? Because our family has been torn apart since dad's passing in 2019.
Well, first of all, it's Kathy, right? Um,
Yes.
yes, of course I see pets. I see my own all the time, and I see my daughters, and I see other people's pets. Yes, absolutely. Um, if we had time, I'd tell you the story about the two geese I saw. A man coming to talk to his wife from the spirit world, and he had two geese, one under each arm. They were their pets. So yes, yes for that. And I think that uh, what your family need to do concerning, your dad, and I can see from what Gregor tells me, it's a bit of a mess, really. But there seem to be two people in the family who are sort of, whatever that is, holding grudges or being upset or what have you. And I think that they need to be reminded, people need to be reminded that your loved ones in the spirit world can see you, and the last thing they want is for you to be arguing with each other. So try, if you can, to stay out of all that other stuff. You can't change other people, but what you can do is you can change yourself. Chris.
Lorraine wants to know if Gray Eagle can help. She has a trip planned tomorrow to New York to visit family that she hasn't seen in a year, but she's been having stomach issues and not sure from a virus or bad food. Will she be okay to travel on her trip?
Who is this?
This is Lorraine.
Lorraine. I think you'll be fine. You maybe should try to get some Imodium or something like that. Just try and rest today. Then, with you're traveling tomorrow, how can you do that? But try if you can to rest today. Don't eat anything that is going to upset things more. Don't eat heavy food. Just maybe some light soups and things like that. I think you'll be fine. I do. I think you'll be fine, Chris.
Andrea wants to know if you have any messages from her mother.
Not right now, because and I would love to say yes to you, but right now we are trying to get in as many questions as we can. But I'm sure she's fine, and I'm sure she loves you, Chris.
Wookie Bear wants to know if from Gray Eagle if my son-in-law has a message for me.
I'm hearing a fairly deep voice saying, "Love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love." So there you have it, Chris.
Lewis says, "Good morning, Rosemary from Arizona. 24 years ago, my little brother was called home. I spoke with you shortly after, and you gave me a sweet message from him and other loved ones. Is there anything he wants to say to me today?"
Um, I was just going to say we're trying to answer as many questions, so no. However, right from behind me, I hear this voice telling me, I'm sure this is your brother, I'm so proud of you. So that's the message. So keep making him proud, darling. Chris.
Last one from Judith. If we have a consultation, can I ask about someone who is still living but very ill?
When you have consultations, you can ask anything you like. Whether or not the spirit world will answer is their choice. It's not my choice. But yes, we very often, people very often, this is why I'm saying to you, when I was telling the story of issues, when you write down your questions, what are your issues and so on. When you hear someone say to you, I'm 60 years old and I have no issues, I'm thinking, wow, that person has either got a very bland life or she's just not talking about the issues. If there are issues, and some of those issues can be about your kids still living, they can be about your work, they can be about your health, they can be about the health of friends or what have you. So, you know, there are no questions that you can't ask. Whether or not you get the answers, I can't tell you that. Okay, that's it, I think, Chris, right?
Yes.
Well, it's been very busy today. I'm only glad I was able to do it. I'm now going to go away and have a really good coughing fit and let myself go here because I've been holding it in all morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interest. Thank you, all of you who sent me healing. I really appreciate it. Keep doing it. I need it. Keep going. And thank you to Chris. And finally, last but by no means least, I'd just like to say thank you to Gregor. So until I see you all again, hopefully next Thursday, you never know, maybe even before then, who knows what's going to happen. Until I see you again, everyone, please have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.